Hey everybody, it's Jen and welcome back for another Walmart meal plan. We like to focus on low effort and no oven because it is the end of summer, but it is still bloody hot out there. So we don't want to make our house any hotter than it has to be. So normally we do 6 dinners for $60, but I had problems getting this menu down to only 6 dinners because they all sounded really good. So I figured I'd throw in a bonus. So we're doing 7 dinners for $70 at Walmart. Now you don't have to use Walmart, but that is a great universal store because almost everybody has a Walmart near them. And let's go ahead and look at the list. Okay, here is our shopping list. You can see the total came out to $69.08. This was at the Super Walmart in Fargo, North Dakota. And let me just tell you, there's a whole bunch of pantry items, so double check that list at home. Make sure, you might already have some of those items, like maybe you already have barbecue sauce or you have some pasta. Easy stuff to cross off the list and get it down. The only thing we really assume that you have this week is, of course, your favorite cooking oil, some white sugar, some soy sauce, and whatever your favorite seasonings are. Now, down below in the description, I'm going to have a link to my website where you can go look at all of these slides. You can download your free printable PDFs. You can print it at home and put it in your binder. There's also a link that goes to my favorites list on Walmart, so you can see exactly the items that I got, as well as be able to add those to your cart if you need to. So let's get into our 7 dinners this week. Okay, our first one is going to be ranch pork chops that we're going to do in the crock pot. This is unbelievably simple, but so yummy and tasty. It's kind of like a comfort food. Basically, you're just going to take your cream of chicken soup. You're going to mix it with some ranch. You can also add whatever seasonings you like. I usually throw in some garlic powder, maybe some black pepper, and then you're just going to spread it out over your pork chops. Now, we're not going to buy straight out pork chops because they tend to be very expensive. But if you look at these pork loin roasts, like the picture here, you can get one for about $7 to $8. They're usually about 2 to 2.5 pounds. And we're going to use about 3/4 of the roast tonight as pork chops. So you're just going to use a knife and you're just going to cut those into pork chops, whatever thickness you like. We're going to save the other quarter for another meal. But if you have the time, since you're already cutting it, you're already getting you're cutting more dirty. Go ahead after you cut up your pork chops, that other part, go ahead and cut it into like 1/2 inch, 1 inch dice, put it in a Ziploc bag, and then put it in your fridge. So that way it's ready for the next meal. As far as what's going with this meal, we're going to do just some basic mashed potatoes because in the crock pot, you're going to have this really yummy gravy and it goes great on top of mashed potatoes. And then we're just going to do a super simple California blend veggie mix. I just throw these in the microwave to steam them, and then you can add butter if you like, because butter makes everything better, or you can just add whatever seasonings you like. So super easy. One of those, very low effort. I know everybody likes tacos, but let's change it up a little bit. Let's do some tostadas. If you're not familiar with that, it's basically like an open-faced taco. Okay, so we're gonna make our tostada filling out of. We're gonna use some kidney beans. I know you would expect black beans, but kidney beans work really well from this. And we're gonna mix it with ground turkey, and then we're going to use a little bit of salsa, a little bit of taco seasoning, and we're also going to make some basic tomato rice. This is similar to like a salsa rice, but we're just going to use diced tomatoes instead of salsa. But if you had an overabundance of salsa, you could easily use that too. And then what we're going to do is you put down your tostada and then you top it with your filling. And then, if you like lettuce, tomato, some shredded cheese, maybe you like sour cream, it's totally up to you. It's just a fun, different twist that maybe you haven't had before. But it does have that crunchiness of like a hard shell taco, but it's open-faced. And I'm kind of a messy taco eater. So what I like to do is I eat my tostadas over my rice, and then everything that eventually falls off, because it's always going to make a mess, just goes onto my rice. So that's just me. You could also easily make this into like a taco bowl. You could just break up the tostada chips either way, and it makes a good amount too. For meal number 3, we are going to do a simple skillet, like stovetop meal. It's going to be pineapple barbecue chicken, because who doesn't like a little like tang or sweetness to their barbecue, because sometimes barbecue gets a little strong and it's overwhelming. My kids really love it when we add pineapple or fruit to a dinner, so it's nice. And then what's great about this, we're gonna do basically it's kind of like a potato hash, and we're gonna add green beans, and it just kind of really ups that flavor. But it's very, very simple. I know sometimes we get a little overwhelmed, but this one is just so simple, and it kind of, gets added to your rotation all the time. And keep in mind that if you're trying to serve a larger number of people, or if you're serving small kids, I do suggest that once you've cooked the chicken, that you kind of shingle it, which just means you cut it on an angle into strips. Because I have found with my kids, I could not serve them a whole chicken thigh. Okay. Even though it's boneless and it's easy, I'm still going to have to cut it up. And then that way, my kids are still pretty small. They're almost 5 and 7, and they may not eat an entire chicken thigh. Actually, my 4-year-old would probably eat a whole chicken thigh, but my oldest son probably wouldn't. So I just like to kind of shingle it, and then you can give exactly how much meat that you want. You're not necessarily stuck with what the size of the chicken thighs are. And depending on where you get the chicken thighs, sometimes they're relatively small, sometimes they're pretty big. So this is just an easy way to do that. And keep in mind as well, when you're buying frozen chicken thighs, they're kind of folded under. Okay. So when you defrost them and you go to season them, make sure that you kind of open them out, because that'll make the cooking process actually quicker. Because if you leave it all tucked in nice and neat, you're basically doubling the volume of the meat, and it takes a longer time to cook. So just kind of, you're going to want them to do a little flat, so you just kind of open them up. So with these frozen ones, normally what I do is the night before is I just pull, 1.5 pounds. It's about half the bag. So I'm going to pull half the bag. I'm going to put them in like a Ziploc bag, and then I just put them in the fridge, and then they defrost overnight. So super simple. Okay, for the next meal, we're going to do a pork and veggie pasta salad. And so this is where I was telling you, if you save a quarter of the pork roast, and then we're going to go ahead and just chop it up into small, like 1/2 inch pieces. And then we're going to just fry those in a pan, get those ready, which you could actually do ahead of time if you like. In fact, this whole meal can be done ahead of time, because you can even serve it warm, or you can refrigerate it and do it, serve it chilled. Totally up to you. This would be an easy one to take to like a park. And I always love with pasta, especially if it has any kind of sauce to it, to serve it with either some butter bread or some garlic bread. So we're going to use half of a loaf of like the French bread that you get. Could be Italian bread. I think they're both the same price, so whichever works for you. And then just look and see what you have. You might even add some extra cheese on there and do cheesy garlic bread. So many options. We usually do this either in the air fryer or in the toaster oven, just so you don't have to use the full oven, but you can still get kind of that baked flavor. Totally up to you. This is also what I call a leftover buster meal. So let's say you have some leftover veggies from other meals and you're not sure how to use them up. You can easily throw them into this pasta salad because they're already cooked and ready to go. So super simple. I'm also a huge fan of feta cheese, so we're going to use about half of the feta cheese on this one, and there's another one that we're also going to use feta cheese on. Some people have been asking for some more low carb options, so this is definitely a low carb option. We're going to do Asian lettuce wraps, which when you think about it, a lettuce wrap is really just, instead of doing like a tortilla, you're going to use a large leaf lettuce like romaine or Bibb. Romaine tends to be a little bit cheaper, and at places like Walmart, you can actually buy a 3-pack. And in this case, it would probably take 2 of the heads for this dinner, and then you would have 1 of the heads for like the Tostadas to have some lettuce on there. And then I just like to go ahead and cut the end off the lettuce, so I keep all the leaves whole. And then any leaves that don't get used for this dinner, we can easily chop them up and add them to something else. Now, my secret here is the water chestnuts. We're going to add this in at the very end to the ground turkey because it's going to give you that nice little crunch. But you know what? You also get that crunch from the lettuce. So if you're used to having tortillas or, having that crunch when you have kind of like a taco or anything like that, this is going to mimic it a little bit more. And these are some of my favorite Oriental flavor seasonings, and so I use them a lot. And for the Thai chili sauce, at Walmart, they have a bin. Mine is located near the meat department, but it's a whole bin of sauces that are only $1. I am more likely to try a sauce for $1. It's kind of reminds me of like a travel size bottle. And honestly, depending on what you're using it for, it could be 1 to 2 meals. But I would rather spend $1 and try a sauce. And if I really like it, go buy a bigger bottle. Or if I try it and I'm like, you know what, it wasn't my favorite, then I didn't just spend $5 on a sauce. So make sure to look out for that bin at Walmart. I've seen it in person and I've also seen it on their website, so you can order them there too. And then for the side, because we want to keep it still that low carb, we're going to do a cucumber mango salad, which is so yummy and refreshing. And this just really, it's funny. It's kind of got a sweetness. If you like a little bit more kick, you can easily add some red pepper flakes in there. My kids don't really care for heat, but if you do, that's totally easy to do. Okay, I've kind of been on this Greek kick lately. I just really love those flavors. But Greek salad dressing is not available at every Walmart or every grocery store. So a good substitution would be Italian dressing. The store in Fargo only had Italian dressing, did not have Greek dressing. Actually, I take that back. They did have a Greek dressing, but it was like $5. So don't spend that amount because it's actually so close to Italian dressing. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the Italian dressing as kind of like a marinade, but we're going to add some lemon juice to it to really up that flavor. And then this is simple, simply just we're going to grill this chicken. And then once again, I would just kind of chop this up and serve it over the rice so it's more rice bowl style, and then top it with the feta cheese because, oh my God, that is so good. And there was a little discrepancy about the chopped spinach. It was really strange. In this case, it was cheaper to get the 12-ounce bag of chopped spinach versus the 10-ounce. But honestly, the sizes are so close to each other. The big thing is you just want to defrost that spinach. I just throw it in the fridge the night before so that way it's fully defrosted. And then you're going to squeeze as much liquid as humanly possible out of it. And then you're going to give it a couple more squeezes because for some reason spinach just holds on to a ton of water. I know some people say to use like a colander or like a cheesecloth, but honestly, I just squeeze the heck out of it and then just keep squeezing. Totally fine. It's a little messy, but it's so worth it. And then this is going to use just plain white rice, but if you're using brown rice, you could do that. You could do jasmine rice. You could do whatever kind of rice you like. The white rice just happened to be the cheapest option. Okay, our last meal is going to be a sun-dried tomato and sausage one-pot pasta. We're going to cook everything in the same pan. Now, one of the kind of myths on one pot is that you just keep throwing stuff in the pot, and sometimes you kind of have to watch out because in this case, we're going to add a little color to our kielbasa, and we're going to basically warm up our broccoli, and then we're going to remove those from the pan while we work on the pasta parts. So just remember to remove those. And then the pasta is basically going to cook with our sun-dried tomatoes and our chicken broth. And once all of our liquid is pretty much absorbed, then we're going to add the broccoli and the kielbasa back. Just in case you kielbasa, sometimes you can't find that. You may just list it as a smoked sausage. But the great thing is that they come, you can get a chicken sausage, you can get a pork sausage, you can get a beef sausage, whichever one you like. This one, I believe it was a chicken. I think it was. I just went with whatever was on sale. And so I would definitely keep an eye out because I do see these with my local grocery stores fairly inexpensive sometimes. And I just buy a couple of them and put them in the freezer. So this one, again, we're going to use, we're going to have that other half of the loaf of French bread. And of course, with pasta, I always just like that. You could do it with garlic bread. You might have some cheese left over, do a little cheesy bread, or just do butter bread. It's totally fine. So, whew. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the low effort, no oven meals this week. They all are just incredibly tasty. And honestly, it just makes me hungry. In fact, when I talk to any of you on Facebook, I just walk away feeling hungry, which now that I think about it, it's probably not a good plan because all I want to do is eat. But I wanted to mention Facebook. If you're not already a member of our page or our group, I'm going to put the links below. For Facebook, really just search Lodo Family and you'll find our page. We try to give out lots of information and meal ideas. We also do some food industry news that affects you, because one of the great things about the food industry is that it's universal and it's constantly evolving and going through different changes. And when you know what changes to expect, you can prepare for them. You can tell the difference between what is marketing and what is a really big deal. And so we talk a lot about that. And really, we just have a lot of fun sharing ideas, and it's a great way to be inspired about what to have for dinner. And then the meal planning group is where, if you have questions about meal planning, questions about how to use a certain ingredient, or you have an overabundance of certain ingredients, just post in there and say, hey, I need help with this. And there's so many people there who would love to help you out. And then I don't know if I mentioned this in my last video, but we do have an email newsletter. It goes out on Fridays. This way you will be notified in your inbox of the new menus, any of the free PDFs for the week, any of the meal ideas. We don't scam you or anything like that. We just put out one email a week, and it just has links to all of our information. So you're like, oh, I forgot. Nope, just click on your email. So I hope you all have a wonderful week. My kids are starting back school, and I'm so excited just because I thrive off of having that set schedule. And over the summertime, schedules just get lost. So hopefully it may take a week or two, but we will get back on track. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and thanks again for stopping by. Bye.